Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Rita's Book Club. This week I'm reviewing Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. So I've been very curious to read this book since it came out. The premises seemed so interesting with these two brothers dealing with their father's death that I wanted to see what would happen between them. They seemed so different that I wanted to know if they would ever find their way back to each other. Aside from the fact that they are brothers, Peter and even Quebec seem to have little in common. Peter is a Dublin lawyer in his 30s, successful, competent, and apparently unmasterable. But in the wake of their father's death, he's medicating himself to sleep and struggling to manage his relationships with two very different women. He's enduring first love Sylvia and Naomi, a college student for whom life is no one long joke. Ivan is a 22 years old competitive chess player. He has always seen himself as socially awkward, a loner, the antithesis of his glib elder brother. Now, in the early weeks of his bereavement, Ivan meets Margaret, an older woman emerging from her own turbulent past, and their lives become rapidly and intensely intertwined. For two grieving brothers and the people they love, this is a new interlude, a period of desire, despair, and possibility, a chance to find out how much one life might hold inside itself without breaking. It has been a while since I read one of Sally's books. I previously read Beautiful World, Where Are You? And I was very excited and curious to read this one. I've read good reviews of it and the story intrigued me, but gotta be honest and say that it took me a few chapters to get into the writing style of this book because I was a bit confused with dialogues and inner thoughts. But after I got used to it, it was a fast read because the story became so fast paced. I know the relationships with the women in their lives are one of the main plot points of this book, but what actually drew me in was the relationship between the brothers, Peter and Ivan. There was such a brilliant character study into their characters, and we got to explore their family dynamics, to also understand how they dealt with navigating their brotherhood in the shadow of their father's recent death. I really liked how we really dove into into each of their perspectives and gave us the ability to know them and see why they were the way they were and why they acted the way they did. There was so many unfinished business between them, and I felt like their father's death was the catalyst they needed to resolve their relationship, or at least try to get a resemblance of one. They were so different, they thought differently. That's usually how it is between brothers, but I really liked how they had to do the dirty work to see the other's perspective. By the end of it, they are able to reach an understanding and to fight for a better relationship. In terms of their bonds with these three women, it was so different from what I was expecting. Firstly, even with Margaret was just pure love and lust, two souls that found themselves by mistake and weirdly clicked in a way that was what each of them needed. Margaret needed a sweet love to heal herself from her past, and Ivan needed to feel wanted and important. Secondly, Peter and Sylvia and Naomi was very different from what I was expecting. I knew that the connection between him and each of these women was deep and important for him, but I loved how we got to explore it more in depth as the story goes along. With Sylvia, there would always be love and the feeling of what if, that made them still be in each other's lives and be very important. But with Naomi, there was a new kind of love that made sense in the moment, and I truly believe that they both needed it too. The resolution between them was a bit messy and also very related with how Peter was dealing with his own mental problems, but it weirdly made sense to me. One thing that is always a plus for me in Sally's books is the political jest we get. This time around, we get some comments about wage labor, the housing crisis in Dublin, monetary power dynamics, and even some religion and existentialism discussions. But what really resonated with me was the importance of open talks about chronic pain and how it affected a person. In this case, Sylvia's mental health. I believe that the conversations with Peter were so important and so needed in order for her and Peter to move on. I know Sally's books aren't for everybody, but I honestly hope to keep exploring her stories and subjects she brings to the page. It's truly a different way to see the world. As always, you can like, comment, subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at ritasbookclub for more content. Thanks for watching. I see you next week. Happy readings.